What's up, you guys? Listen, I said I would pop back in. I had pulled that article. So I said we're gonna pop back in and talk. Say hi to the people because we're not gonna be here long. We are not gonna be here long because y'all know I still gotta get up and go to work in the morning, honey. I'm giving y'all a 2-for-1, really a 3-for-1 tonight. I be loving on y'all. Let me say hi to the people. Hey, Amber, Andre, Dark Liquor, Cam, Tracy, George. All things George. That's my boo thing, George. Hey, Morgan, Buzzworthy TV. Hey, really be love your channel. Mwah, thank you so much. Hey, Meg, Cool Gamer. Andre Carr said, "This is really sad. It's so hard to know who the true villains are in Wendy's story because there's such a lack of information." So this is what we get ready to do. I agree, Andre. This is what we get ready to do. We're going to read through this article together as a tribe, okay? And we're going to talk about it together. So I pulled the article. It is from the Sun. I'm going to share it on the screen. I have not read the article yet, so you're going to get my reaction in real time. For those who do not know, I was gonna say Andre, Lord, I mean Andre. For those who do not know, um, Kevin Hunter Jr., Wendy Williams' son, has given an interview. He has not spoken prior to now. We have not gotten an official statement from him as it relates to his mother, her health. Remember last year he was accused of stealing money from her and things like that. So we have not heard from Kevin, but he did give an interview to the Sun. I don't know why he chose the Sun, but he did. And as you can see, this was published today. It was last updated Eastern Standard Time. So this was uploaded today. So we're gonna read through it together. All right, we're gonna read through it together. Um, y'all know when I'm reading, I can't see everything on the screen. I can't see everything on the screen. So as we're reading, um, put your comments in the screen. I'll come back. Okay, so let's read through this together. She needs help. Wendy Williams' son, Kevin Jr., fears mom is near death and blames team for spiral as he breaks silence in his first interview. Wendy Williams' only son, Kevin Hunter Jr., fears his ailing mother is near death and blames her team for her sad downward spiral. Kevin, who was 22, slams Wendy's inner circle and accused them of taking advantage of her wealth, fame, and inability to make sound decisions amid her battle with severe alcoholism. So we have heard that before. We have definitely heard that Wendy has been battling substance abuse by her own admission, and over the last couple of years since her show has gone off the air, we have definitely heard that as well. Kevin said his mother's mental and physical health has been in jeopardy since being placed under guardianship last year. Now, you guys remember that last year, something we got videos on the child, but last year something happened with Wendy Williams' bank account that alerted the bank, and they filed the proper paperwork and went to court. Her assets have been frozen, and she is under a guardianship. Now, let me say this. I'm going to put a pin in that right there because I find it curious that Kevin said that his mother's mental and physical health has been in jeopardy since being placed under guardianship, when the reason why she was placed under guardianship is because there were some red flags. The bank felt like, I'm going to tell y'all what those, I got, y'all know I told y'all what them red flags were. But we'll come back to that. Y'all remind me to come back, Tracy. Remind me to come back to the red flags, the guardianship, okay? He believes that concerns over Wendy's health have been pushed aside while others around her are profiting off the project she's involved in. Kevin told the U.S. Sun, "I know there are all sorts of things happening that I know in her right mind she would never agree to." Now, this is a hyperlink here. Let's see what this hyperlink is. What that mean that she would never agree to in her right mind? Let's see where the hyperlink takes us. Her brother furiously slams her management team for filming a reality show. Okay, so this reality show, okay, I'm going to have to agree with that. I'm going to have to agree that this reality show is not in Wendy Williams' best interest. Not based on what we have seen. It's just not. It's just not. So I can agree with that. Y'all put it in the chat if y'all think that Wendy need to be filming a reality show right now. Y'all tell me. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back. Okay. It's hard, as hard as it is seeing her being taken advantage of. I know that if I'm making sure she as a person is okay, that is the important thing. Because eventually she's going to realize the craziness. Hold on, let me see. Can y'all see? Okay. I think placing her under a guardianship made it worse, but she was sick before it. I feel like I feel like that financial advisor is helping drain her funds rather than save them. I feel like Wells Fargo knows their liability is through the roof because they didn't prevent her interference. Very interesting, Andre. Interesting observations. Interesting observations. Okay. Because eventually she's going to realize the craziness that's been going on. The Sun recently exclusively reported that she was hospitalized last month in New York, which her son also confirms. So he confirmed that she was hospitalized last month. Interesting. Kevin and Wendy's jeweler, wait a minute. Kevin said Wendy's jeweler, I'm sorry, turned manager Will Selby contacted him in mid-May to tell him that his mother was in the hospital. Kevin claimed it was the first time he had heard from Will, who he often calls the jeweler, in several months. Okay, ma'am, what qualifications did he have, Wendy, to go from being your jeweler to being your manager? Yeah, that's interesting. Kevin said Will called to tell me she was in the hospital and added that the last time they spoke before that was the end of last year. So he hasn't spoken to the manager since like December. Okay. At the time of our interview, Kevin claimed that no one from Wendy's team, her guardianship, or the court that holds her guardianship case had told him that Wendy had been released from the hospital. Dang, so she was released from the hospital and nobody told her son. He also said no one had updated him to let him know that she had allegedly been moved out of New York. Well, where'd she go? Wendy's rep, Sean Zanotti, gave a statement to another outlet on May the 20th following the U.S. Sun's original report that Wendy was in a hospital in New York. I can confirm that Wendy Williams is not in the hospital as reported. I can also confirm that she is not in New York, Sean said at the time. Wendy bowed out of her scheduled speaking engagement on May the 20th at the Atlanta Women's Expo days before the event due to her apparent declining health. Kevin's concern. Kevin expressed his concern about the people around Wendy presently who continue to profit off of her. What's been made more important by the people around her is that while her health may not be great, she needs to keep on earning income. And in my opinion, that should not be a priority at all. And whoever has been hired, they are taking advantage of someone who needs to get better. Kevin said his mother's health has declined since she was living with him in Florida from late 2021 to around spring of 2022. Under his care, he said he would take her to the restaurants that didn't serve alcohol, and he had her exercising and eating healthier. I know the rate that she uses alcohol isn't like a normal person, and we've spoken about it. I've said this is one thing where you don't know how to approach it normally, and that's fine. And it's gotten to a point where yes, it could have that effect that it might be fatal because it affects her way worse than a normal person since it stays in her system, Kevin claims. According to her son, who was in his mother's doctor's appointments when she was with him in Florida, Wendy's various ailments have a compounding effect, and her body doesn't process alcohol like the average person. There are a lot of people who are very aware that there's an issue with her drinking and how that issue may be helped, but I think these people are taking advantage of it while allowing her to play out to make it look like they aren't causing the issue. That's so sad. Wendy spent nearly 3 months in Malibu rehab from August to October of 2022 for her alcoholism, and Kevin said he was told his mother signed contracts either during or immediately after her stay for working arrangements with her jeweler and manager Will, taking advantage. They had her in a position where she was agreeing to a lot that she shouldn't have. When I heard that, that turned me off, Kevin said. In trying to attempt to know that what everyone's intention is around her, at first I was like, okay, this is the team she wants to have around. But once I heard she was agreeing to stuff around her rehab, I thought, well, okay, they're taking advantage. Kevin claimed that times like this, mother that his mother does go to get the help she desperately needs. People seem to swoop in and use that opportunity to get her alone. I feel that when it comes to people wanting to help her, a lot of it is coming from a stance of, okay, she's alone now. Let's try to see how we can make her act that way we want her to act, or if we can kind of control the rate at which she's handling herself. Kevin said he also believes that his mother's team has emboldened her drinking. If they weren't providing it, they're definitely enabling a type of personality and giving her the green light to drink. After Wendy was spotted bar hopping in April, her publicist Sean released a statement calling it a night of celebration. They're just putting their hands up. When someone's hired to help, it's very easy to just allow certain things to play out, he said in that statement. As much as someone may try to say that they're there for somebody, if you're being hired to be there, there's only so much you could say to that person. I never want to shame anybody, but in terms of asking if that person is there so that my mom can be the healthiest person, they have a long career. Stuff like stuff like that, they aren't in it for that. Okay. They don't know the situation fully, and there are times when she does talk that she may sound coherent enough that they may think, okay, she just wants to have some fun. And for that reason, I will never have hate, even with the hired help. Everyone is just trying to take care of themselves. It is what it is, he continued. Okay. Am I the only one confused right now? Yeah, I'm a little confused. I probably need to read that back. But I feel like what he's saying is, one minute he was like, he felt like they taking advantage of her and they're not looking out for her best interest. But then it said, well, people can only do but so much. I don't have any hard feelings against them. Am I tripping? Okay, Amber, you said you don't know what the hell he's saying. All right, maybe I need to read that section again because it didn't compute. It didn't compute. Let me go back. Okay, let me go back. Okay. They're just putting their hands up. When someone's hired help, it's very easy to just allow certain things to play out. As much as someone may try to say that they're there for somebody, if you're being hired to be there, there's only so much you could say to that person. I never want to shame anybody, but in terms of asking if that person is there so that my mom can be the healthiest person and have a long career, stuff like that, they aren't in it for that. They are just there for the here and now. I don't want any of this to come across that I'm mad at anyone. They don't know the situation fully, and there are times when she does talk that she may sound coherent enough, and they may think, okay, she just wants to have fun. And for that reason, I will never have hate, even with the hired help. Everyone is just trying to take care of themselves. It is what it is. So I feel like what he's saying is because they're being hired to do this, that they're really not going to be effective. And he needs people around her. She needs people around her that are not in it for the money, but that really care about her. But here's the thing. So I guess he's saying it needs to be him. That's fine. You're her son. That's fine. But at the end of the day, she's still going to do what she want to do. Ain't this the same Wendy Williams that talked about how she snuck alcohol into rehab? She's still going to do what she want to do. I'm not saying stop trying though. Please no, I'm not saying don't stop trying, especially as her son. But okay, child. Okay, boo. At the end of 2022, Kevin claimed that Will had asked him if he wanted to be a part of the unscripted project Wendy has been spotted filming in recent months. The jeweler reached out to me last year and he basically said, We are planning on this project being a way that would tell the public about what's happening, and I was supposed to do it. And I was opposed to it, excuse me. I still felt like she shouldn't be doing anything that involves putting herself in front of the camera. It goes back to putting work first and herself second. I was then reapproached by the production, not by Will directly, a second time, and I just said no. The 22-year-old college student had always been supported financially by his mother and had a large part, and in a large part lost that support when her financial affairs were taken over by a guardian, Sabrina Morrissey, in May of 2022. Turning down Will's offer to be a part of the unscripted project about his mother meant he was saying no to a lucrative opportunity that could have been a financial life raft for him, he explained. They tried to offer me $25,000 to appear with executive producer credit. $25,000 for the whole project? That ain't no life raft. Remember, he was living in that high-rise apartment where his rent was like $2,500 a month. $25,000 ain't no life raft. What you talking about? And I chose not to do it for the simple fact that I just felt like however this came about was under a contract she shouldn't have agreed to for a project that wouldn't paint her in a good light. I mean, that's a good reason. I agree with him turning it down. Like, I definitely agree with him turning it down. When asked for comment on the various allegations against him, Will Shelby said, no comment because half of this stuff isn't even true. Majority of this is false. Well, it's half of it or the majority of it. Will claimed, I was in Miami with Kevin. I forced him to have a conversation because he seemed a little disgruntled. I spoke to him face to face, 1000%. I was like, if there's a problem, let's talk. If there's an issue, let's have a conversation. When pushed in yet another request for comment to expand on any additional points, Will responded, there is so much here that is inaccurate. It's really not worth me commenting. He sounded like he lying. The Sun reached out to Wendy's publicist, Sean Zanotti, multiple times, and she declined to comment. Okay. Wendy's guardianship. Kevin also takes issue with Wendy's guardian, Sabrina Morrissey. Wendy was placed in guardianship after Wells Fargo froze her bank accounts, and they suspected that the star was the victim of financial exploitation, dementia, or undue influence, according to court papers. It's been really sad what's been allowed to happen, and ever since that court hearings ended, something just has to be brought to light about what's going on and how much people are taking in this situation. In terms of who is there now, people have put other things in front of her, actually healing and getting better, and unfortunately, unlike many other alcoholics, she's worth a lot more money. Wendy's son continued, I know that Sabrina has a relationship with the jeweler, and I would assume that they are cool with each other. That is how this was created. And it seems like it's more about making sure he's okay. Ooh. I don't know what the ultimate goal is for Sabrina as the person in charge of stuff, but there have never been articles put out saying Wendy isn't okay. What? I don't know what the ultimate goal is for Sabrina as the person in charge of stuff, but there have never been articles put out saying Wendy isn't okay. I feel like there's been a lot of articles saying Wendy isn't okay. Maybe I don't know. Wendy's son hit out at the Guardian's handling of Wendy and her lack of communication with the star's family. I don't feel like Sabrina has done a great job at all. I think that based on her actions, I'd have assumed something is going on that she's not telling me. Whether it be that she is receiving income on the side or what, but there's a lot of pushing away of myself and everybody down here and saying that she's not going to give updates. She's really vague with updates. Okay, so his apartment was like $8,000 a month on a $2 million apartment. Right. So they made $25,000 really isn't it it really isn't that extensive. I mean, but okay, let me say this. We're gonna come back to this whole guardianship thing because I think people are misunderstanding. She's under a financial guardianship. This woman is controlling Wendy's finances. She doesn't control Wendy as a person. Wendy is not under like what Britney Spears was under, where a guardianship, where her father. Wendy is under a financial guardianship. So I don't. It sounds like they're acting like this woman is supposed to be controlling Wendy's movement. No, she just controls what Wendy can and can't spend. That's different types of guardians. Anyway, Sabrina Morrissey did not respond to the Sun's request for comment. Ultimately, Kevin insists that his mother absolutely should not have been working. She should not continue to work, and she should be focusing on her health and her recovery. Kevin said, I think that it's best for her to have to prioritize her health first. Nobody around her will tell her this, but she doesn't have to be working. She needs to take a break from trying to progress her career and just be proud of what she's accomplished. When asked if he had a plan in all of this, Wendy's son said, the plan is that I'm hoping and praying that people who are up there in New York with her right now don't lead her down the path to where something can happen to her. If there's a way, or if there was a plan I could think of, I wouldn't be here doing this interview. I'd be doing something that I could do. Kevin added that he thinks something has gone seriously wrong with the way things have been set up for Wendy. In terms of what is and what isn't, when she was with me, none of these articles of her not looking well ever came out. When she got dragged back up there to New York after the court hearings that started happening, and from what that perspective, something has gone wrong. Kevin said he's holding on hope. I'm praying that whoever is in control now doesn't ruin whatever hope there is for her to get back up again. Uh, all right, that's the end of the article. So let's talk about it for a few minutes. Um, all right. 7% of people who voted no, they did not hit the like button. Y'all shady. I know, right? Ain't that shady, Mims? So let me say this. First of all, I don't understand why he chose to do this interview with the Sun. They are not like I feel like everybody wanted this interview, right? Every news outlet wanted to hear from Kevin Hunter. From, I mean, he could have went to Gayle King, he could have went to People Magazine. Like there were a million other places he could have taken this conversation. So I'm a little interested in why he chose the Sun. Sun is like one step above the Inquirer. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a little interested. I'm curious as to why he chose the Sun. Let me refresh you guys' memories for those who don't know, don't remember, and maybe some who just don't care. Part of the reason why Kevin is being kept outside of the loop, allegedly, everything is alleged. I'm like Mims now. Let me put my alleged sign out. Let me put my allegedly sign up. Let me go to Kent. Let me do a Mims right now. Let me put my allegedly up. Allegedly, what tipped the Sun pays for interviews? That sound about right. Allegedly, that sound about right. Allegedly, from what and remember we were talking to Simone Redwine, attorney Simone Redwine, and she had an inside tip, right? She was able to pull some of the court documents. She sort of had an inside tip. Remember, she shared with us that what the bank, because remember at first we were like, why would the bank freeze Wendy Williams accounts? What happened? Blah, blah, blah. A friend of mine who works for the bank, he came up on the panel and he explained the bank's liability and why the bank probably did what they did. The bank was within their rights based on, he said at the time we didn't know what happened, but based on what he said was something had to have alerted them that made them feel like if we don't do something, we could be held liable if this comes back on us, right? What we found out allegedly is that her ex-husband was trying to access her accounts. That alerted the bank because the bank knew, remember, people like Wendy Williams have personal bankers. Like we walk into the bank and we deal with whoever is at the counter. when we go into the bank. We don't even go into the bank like that anymore. But people like Wendy Williams, who have the kind of money that Wendy Williams has, she has a personal banker, somebody that deals with her accounts on a regular basis, somebody who is very, very familiar with her monthly bills, what she spends, what comes in, what goes out. When something comes up that is abnormal, it's a ding, 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 ding. So allegedly, what happened was her husband was trying to access her accounts when the personal banker was very familiar with the fact that Kevin was not supposed to be in Wendy Williams' accounts anymore, was not supposed to have any access to her accounts. Whatever money Wendy Williams owed him, she had already paid and she was done paying him. So there was no reason for Kevin, Big Kevin, husband Kevin, to be in Wendy Williams' accounts. Allegedly, that is what triggered this guardianship. Allegedly. Well, not the guardianship, but that is what triggered them freezing her accounts. I think what people need to understand is there was a court hearing. The bank was able to prove that they were acting in Wendy Williams' best interest based on the information on why they suspected that somebody was using her to access her accounts. There was a whole court hearing about that. Wendy Williams lost the court hearing. The judge felt like, based on the evidence in front of them, now that doesn't mean that the judge is flawless. We know that judges make mistakes just like everybody else. But based on the information in front of him, the judge made a decision and said, I'm going to put her, I believe it was a 90-day guardianship. That guardianship was financial, it was over her money. The judge did not put Wendy Williams on any type of medical guardianship, none of that. She's under a financial guardianship, which means that when she has a certain allowance per month that's based on her bills. They looked at all of her bills. So there's a certain amount of money she gets per month. And then she gets a certain amount of money per month that's like, like play money. Anything above that, she has to get permission. So if they gave her a $20,000 a month play money allowance and she decides to go on a shopping spree at Louis Vuitton and spends $30,000, she has to get permission. And it was only supposed to be 90 days. So the fact that she is still under that means that at the end of that 90 days, the guardian went back to the judge and said, Your Honor, I don't think she's in a position to handle her business. Now, it hasn't been in the news, but this obviously has been extended a couple of times. Thank you, Dr. Mary. This has obviously been extended a couple of times because that was last summer. That's been over a year. I mean, that's been almost a year that they went to court and she was put under a guardianship. If she wants to pay her son's rent, can she? That's why her son had to move out of that apartment. She can't. Because what the bank said was, what the guardian said was, he doesn't need, like what Mims just said, he is a 20, at the time he was like 20 years old or 21-year-old college student. He doesn't need to be living in a $1 million apartment paying $8,000 a month rent. They were like, something reasonable, yes, but an $8,000 a month rent and a $2 million apartment for a 21-year-old, no ma'am. They said no, he doesn't need that. So what happened was, when the lease was up, he had to move. They paid out the lease. If I remember correctly, it's been so much stuff. But if I remember correctly, they paid out the lease. But when that lease was up, he had to find somewhere cheaper. Not that he was homeless and they put him on the street. He just had to find something cheaper. Because again, it was all about what's reasonable. Now, if Wendy Williams was still in her, never had been put under conservatorship, a guardianship for her money, if she want to keep paying $8,000 a month, that's on her. But the guardian has to present a report to the court every month. And the Guardian has to explain that. Now, as far as her jeweler being her manager, I do feel like that's concern. There's some concern there. There's some concern there. I don't know how you go from being a jeweler. I don't know how you go from being a jeweler to being some Wendy Williams manager. I don't know how that happens. Ooh, excuse me. I don't know how that happens. So there's that. Do I think that Kevin is really concerned about his mom? Absolutely. Does she pay that? I don't know, Amber. I honestly don't know. I just remember when he had to move out. Dad don't have no money. He's broke. Remember, Kevin was out here. Remember, Kevin is broke. Remember, hell, he about to lose his house. His car's about to be repossessed. Kevin ain't got no money. And that's why it's believable when I heard um when I heard that he was trying to access Wendy's accounts. I was like, that's believable because he's broke. He don't have no money. Whatever settlement he got, remember he sued. He was suing the production company and all that. He ain't got no money. He can't help that baby. Now they're still paying his tuition. His college tuition is still being paid every month. I do remember that, but I don't remember where he is now. I just remember the last article I read, or the last article I saw, I should say, was when he had to move out. So I really don't have the follow up. I haven't done any on the follow up. I absolutely believe her son is worried about her. I do. I mean, we're all worried about Wendy. So do I believe that his concern is legit? Absolutely, I do. I absolutely believe that Kevin Hunter is worried about his mom. Do I think that she has people around her that do not have her best interest at heart? Yes, I do. I believe that there are people around Wendy Williams that do not have her best interest at heart because there's no reason in the world why Wendy Williams should be out here filming anything. And I said that when they were like, "Oh, she's doing a reality show." Are you kidding me? Like when you see Wendy out, she doesn't look like she need to be doing anything. So I believe that. I do believe that. But do I also believe that his lifestyle has changed and he's a little, concerned about his finances? A little bit. A little bit. I believe he's sincere though, so I'm not going to put that on him. I believe he's absolutely sincere. But again, um I feel like he could have given a better interview with a different. That interview wasn't that great. That was not a good interview. That article that I just read was a horrible. That was a horrible article. I think he could have gotten a better interview where more people would look at it with the right eyes. But what Mim said makes sense. Maybe he was being paid for it. That makes sense. That if he got a paycheck, then that makes sense why he went there. So I just wanted to share that interview with you guys. I'll put the link in the chat. Hold on. I'll put the link to the interview in the chat if you guys want to read it again. Um, but in my opinion, that was a horribly written article. That wasn't great because it wasn't clear to me. It wasn't very succinct. It wasn't very clear. But if you go back to the video we did when there was the conservatorship, that was with Simone Girl Is That Legal. We really broke down why the bank did it, what the bank was probably looking at, the bank's legal responsibility, and the fact that it's been upheld multiple times tells me that there must have been some validity there. Like if it was no validity, I mean I know the system isn't perfect, but ideally she would have control of her finances again. So Wendy used to speak highly of her and how proud she was of him. I believe he cares and loves his mother. I absolutely believe that. I absolutely believe that. They wanted him to move into the dorms. Andre, they had to pay his tuition in order for him to have a room on campus. You can't have a room on campus if your tuition ain't paid. But I do know they wanted him to live on campus. I do remember that. Kelvin didn't have an investment. They didn't have a prenup. I think he abused the community property. Anyway, y'all, I'll bring y'all any updates. I have to go back and I'm gonna go back and look at that video again, refresh my memory on some of this stuff because there's been so much with Wendy. Oh my gosh, this saga has been going on for years and there's so many layers. But I think we all can agree that she is not the old Wendy. She is not the Wendy we're used to. Um, so we just have to keep some positive vibes for Wendy. Like Ebby said, she is on the permanent sick and shut in list, child. Over here to the Really BTV. She is on the permanent sick and shut in list. Okay. Are you getting more thumbs up, Really B? I don't know what the thumbs up look like. It's 136 people in the room. What's my likes looking like? What's the likes looking like, y'all? It's 136 people in the room. If you haven't hit that like button, please hit the like button. And if you are not subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, child. We be over here having a good time, giving y'all some good information. Okay. All right. All right, y'all. I'm out. All documents for the court dates came from Sabrina. I don't trust it. We only got 94. That's not good. Can y'all please hit that like button on your way out the door? I appreciate it. 95. It's 130 of y'all. Can we get at least 20 more likes? 20 more likes. Right, we got to get to at least 100. I mean, come on, people. Y'all said 62 likes. I don't know what y'all looking at. He said 62 likes. All right, y'all. I'm going to bed.